Kind of a little bit about me, my upbringing and everything like that. I was an athlete. I was also growing up. I came from a good family, parents together, and then I also went to Catholic school. So I got confirmed and everything like that. And then, you know what they say? They say birds that flock together are they're basically the same.
Yeah.
So then after college, I'm not after college, after high school, I started hanging out with the wrong crowd as well too, and then I got in the wrong headspace and started selling drugs and wrong crowd, wrong people, and my life literally just was totally 180. Like there's this kid from high school that's supposed to be go to college, go to a 4-year college, and run on a full ride scholarship, and then right after that I went into start partying, all day, drinking 4 or 5 times a week, selling drugs to live that lifestyle. And looking back at it, I was just like, man, that was pretty wild. But one thing that I did get from it was that, the business that I learned when you were selling drugs versus, bringing that in, like, not necessarily bring that, but like, there's like a different business between like the actual business, like a legit business, and then actual business of selling drugs. And I just like compare the two, and I'm like, dude, that's so crazy. And then I was just like, I learned so much from doing that. But I also wanted to get out of that lifestyle because there's just so many things around that, and just I love my life now because I'm able to do different things. I don't get to wake up with a hangover every single weekend, and I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about this person, and it's just totally different.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. And I think a lot of people can't handle these sort of stories because these stories of like redemption, they're messy, right?
They're
like
messy.
to know that someone had a background and was in a space that was, maybe someone that society, it's like looks as the worst of the worst. I love them, and a lot of times individuals don't share these stories because sometimes there's like a little shame attached to them. And I try to be wise of where I share these stories, right? Because I know not all people can handle them, right? But once you understand that sometimes people's drive comes from just the life they've lived, like a lot of the stats on first generation immigrants, right? Just hustling and there's a reason why like that first generation does much better than the second, third at times, because they had no other choice.
Right.
My parents, I remember in elementary, they worked 2 jobs. They worked during the day, and then they would go clean as a janitor at night. And so, but now they're incredibly successful, right? And so they paid that price to give us a platform. But a lot of times, kids that just are born into a very successful home, man, it's hard to fabricate that grit, that grind in that.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I've seen a lot of people that had like, messed up past, and, they're in jail and they did this and they did that. But, it's motivation at the end of the day because they don't ever want to go back to that. They don't ever want to have to do that. They don't ever want to have to feel that pain that they had to go through in the past. Whereas like, I got to worry about this. I got to worry about that. And, I've like, business gets hard, it gets really hard sometimes. And I'm just like, man, like, can I go back to doing that? And I'm like, no fucking way. I don't want to do that at all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, once you experiment with like different lifestyles, and you're like, yeah, no, that's not for me anymore. And I'm just so thankful that, I didn't reap those consequences, right? Of making some bad decisions. All I can do is look back and be incredibly thankful that, my mistakes didn't end up hurting me,
right?
Where, I never went to jail, nothing. And it was like, but now I have a different perspective, even on people that have made some mistakes. Like,
right.
I have definitely more sympathy and more grace where I'm like, hey, trust me, your past should not define you.
100%.